Good afternoon. This is All India Radio. I am Valsa Williams and with me is Anita Anand with the Midday News. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to inaugurate and lay foundation stone of various projects in Gujarat today. Both houses of parliament witnessed several disruptions following opposition's protest over alleged misuse of central agencies and other issues. Parliamentary panel calls for working out a comprehensive rehabilitation scheme for Indian workers who lost their jobs abroad in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar meets U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken on the sidelines of ASEAN Ministerial Conference in Phnom Penh, holds discussion on strengthening India-U.S. relationship. Criminal Procedure Identification Act 2022 comes into effect from today. India and the U.S. to hold mega military exercise in Uttarakhand in October. U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi reaches South Korea after visit to Taiwan. China initiates its largest ever military exercises encircling Taiwan. United States Senate approves Finland and Sweden's accession to Nato. And in Commonwealth Games, top Indian stars Mridul Borgohain, Amit Panghal, Sharat Kamal, Saurav Ghoshal, Deepika Pallikal, Manika Batra, Hima Das and Joshna Chinnappa to be in action today. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will inaugurate and lay the foundation stone of various projects of Srimad Raj Chandra Mission in Gujarat at 4:30 p.m. today through video conferencing. More from our correspondent.
Prime Minister will inaugurate the 250-bed Srimad Rajchandra Multi-Speciality Hospital at Dharampur in Valsad district today. The cost of entire project is around 200 crore rupees. The hospital will provide world-class tertiary medical facilities, especially to the people of South Gujarat. PM will also lay the foundation stone of Srimad Rajchandra Animal Hospital. The 150-bed hospital will be built at a cost of around 70 crore rupees. The hospital will provide holistic medical care along with the conventional medicine for the care and upkeep of animals. Apart from this, Prime Minister will also lay the foundation stone of the Srimad Rajchandra Center of Excellence for Women on the occasion. The center will employ over 700 tribal women and provide a livelihood to thousands of others. Aparna Khun, AR News, Ahmedabad.
The Rajya Sabha today witnessed opposition's protest over the alleged misuse of probe agencies. When the House met after the first adjournment at 12 noon, members from the Congress, TMC, Shiv Sena and others trooped into the well raising slogans against the government. Members from the DMK, Left and others were also on their feet. Leader of opposition Mallikarjun Kharge said he has been summoned by the Enforcement Directorate today despite the Parliament session being underway. He alleged that the government is trying to suppress the opposition and democracy in the country. He said the opposition will not succumb to pressure. Responding to it, Leader of the House Piyush Goyal rejected the allegation of the government's involvement in probe agencies' action. He said the government does not interfere in the functioning of law enforcement agencies. Mr. Goyal alleged that probably the previous Congress government used to interfere in the functioning of agencies. Terming the allegation as baseless, he said opposition must follow the law and allow the House to function. Amid continuous uproar, the presiding officer repeatedly urged to maintain order in the House, but the agitating members continued with their sloganeering. The House completed question hour amid din. Earlier in the morning, when the House met for the day, Chairman M. Venkaiah Naidu rejected adjournment notices given by the Congress and AAP on alleged misuse of the Enforcement Directorate, Agnipath scheme and other issues.
Lok Sabha has been adjourned till 2 p.m. As soon as the House met for the day, Congress and DMK members trooped into the well of the House. The members started sloganeering about the alleged misuse of the central agencies. The Speaker, Om Birla, tried to run the question hour, but in vain. Amidst din, the Speaker adjourned the House till 2 p.m. The Union Government today said the Krishi Udan scheme assists farmers in transporting agricultural products so that it improves their value realization. In a written reply in the Lok Sabha, the Minister of State for Civil Aviation, General V.K. Singh, said for facilitating and incentivizing movement of agri-produce by air transportation, Airports Authority of India provides full waiver of landing, parking, terminal, navigational landing charges and route navigational facility charges for Indian freighter and passenger to cargo aircraft at 58 airports in the country. He said all agri-produce, which includes horticulture such as flower, fishery, livestock and processed products, are covered under the scheme. To promote eco-friendly means of transportation and decarbonize the transport sector, the government has notified mass emission standards to introduce alternate fuels with blends of ethanol with gasoline. Replying to supplementaries in the Lok Sabha on promotion of electric vehicles, Road Transport and Highways Minister Nitin Gadkari said, with an aim to reduce dependency on fossil fuels and vehicular emissions, his ministry launched faster adoption and manufacturing of hybrid and electric vehicles in India, FAME India scheme, in 2015. The second phase of the FAME India scheme is being implemented for 5 years from 1st of April 2019, focusing on supporting electrification of public and shared transportation.
Minister of State for Electronics and Information Technology Rajiv Chandrasekhar today said it was considered more appropriate that the government will come back with a new comprehensive framework of global standard laws, including digital privacy laws. He said it would not only help catalyze startup innovation ecosystem but also protect fundamental right to privacy of citizens. Speaking to reporters outside Parliament, Mr. Chandrasekhar said reason to withdraw a personal data protection bill is very simple. He said while the Joint Committee of Parliament had given a series of very comprehensive recommendations in its report, a lot of them, though relevant, were outside the domain of privacy and data protection law. A parliamentary panel has asked the government to initiate consultations with all stakeholders without delay for the rehabilitation of Indian workers who have lost their jobs abroad in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic. The panel on external affairs, headed by P.P. Chaudhary, tabled its report in Parliament yesterday. The panel observed that the government is implementing various programs and schemes for the welfare of the Indian diaspora. No specific scheme exists for the rehabilitation of the workers who lost their jobs, including the huge population of Gulf returnees in the wake of this pandemic. The committee members are aware that many workers have gone back to their employment abroad with the easing of the COVID-19 pandemic situation and the reopening of doors to Indian workers by the Gulf countries. The committee, however, feels that a rehabilitation scheme to ensure livelihood security for those workers who lost their jobs and could not return or prefer to stay back in the country is still needed. Therefore, it recommended that a comprehensive rehabilitation scheme may be worked out in coordination with other ministries and departments concerned, as well as the state governments, for those workers who lost their jobs.
The Criminal Procedure Identification Act 2022 has come into effect from today. The new act authorizes taking measurements of convicts and other persons for the purposes of identification and investigation in criminal matters and to preserve records. These include finger impressions, palm print and footprint impressions, photographs, iris and retina scan, physical, biological samples and their analysis, among others. The new act replaces the Identification of Prisoners Act 1920. Chief Justice of India N.V. Ramana has recommended name of Justice Uday Umesh Lalit as his successor. He has sent the recommendation to Law and Justice Minister Kiren Rijiju. Chief Justice Ramana is retiring this month.
President of the Maldives, Ibrahim Mohammed Saleh, visited Jawaharlal Nehru Port, JNPT, on the second day of his Maharashtra visit today. During this visit, Chairman of JNPT Sanjay Sethi apprised him of the importance and special features of this port. After welcoming President Saleh, Mr. Sethi apprised him that this port is located very close to the upcoming Navi Mumbai International Airport and is well connected by all modes of transport. He also informed that the port has now risen from 146 to 63 in the global rankings due to its consistent performance. Mr. Sethi said this port has been expanded recently so that the resources can be more conveniently adapted to the growing needs. India and the US will conduct a fortnight-long mega military exercise in Uttarakhand's Auli in October this year. The 18th edition of exercise Yuddhabhyas is scheduled to take place from the 14th to the 31st of October. A number of complex drills are being planned for the mega exercise, which is aimed at enhancing understanding, cooperation and interoperability between the two armies. The last edition of the exercise took place in October last year in Alaska in the US.
Defence Minister Rajnath Singh has called upon central and state government departments to ensure foolproof management of land for India to become a global manufacturing hub. He was addressing the inaugural session of a webinar organized to disseminate Geographical Information System GIS-based applications developed by Centre of Excellence for Satellite and Unmanned Remote Vehicle Initiative today. Mr. Singh said the government has taken several steps to resolve various issues such as land disputes. He said Narendra Modi government has repealed many irrelevant, archaic laws related to land. Former Congress leader from Haryana Kuldeep Bishnoi today joined Bharatiya Janata Party. He was inducted in the BJP in the presence of Haryana Chief Minister Manohar Lal Khattar and Jal Shakti Minister Gajendra Singh Shekhawat at party headquarters in New Delhi. Mr. Bishnoi has been a 4-time MLA and 2-time MP. His wife Renuka, who was also in the Congress party, also joined BJP.
More than 205 crore 22 lakh vaccine doses have been administered in the country so far under the nationwide vaccination drive. The Health Ministry said more than 38 lakh 20,000 doses were administered in the last 24 hours. During the same period, 19,893 new COVID cases were reported in the country. India's active caseload currently stands at 1,36,478 and it is at 0.31%.
You're listening to the Midday News on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to inaugurate and lay foundation stone of various projects in Gujarat today. Both the houses of Parliament witnessed several disruptions following opposition's protest over alleged misuse of central agencies and other issues. Parliamentary panel calls for working out a comprehensive rehabilitation scheme for Indian workers who lost their jobs abroad in the wake of COVID-19 pandemic. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar meets U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken on sidelines of ASEAN Ministerial Conference in Phnom Penh, holds discussion on strengthening India-U.S. relationship. Criminal Procedure Identification Act 2022 comes into effect from today. India and US to hold mega military exercise in Uttarakhand's Auli in October. US House Speaker Nancy Pelosi reaches South Korea after visit to Taiwan. China initiates its largest ever military exercises encircling Taiwan. United States Senate approves Finland and Sweden's accession to Nato. And in Commonwealth Games, top Indian stars Mridul Borgohain, Amit Pangal, Sharad Kamal, Saurav Ghoshal, Deepika Palikal, Manika Batra, Hima Das and Joshna Chinappa to be in action today. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle @AIR News Alerts.
आकाशवाणी आपके लिए लेकर आया है कार्यक्रम एक कदम और बुजुर्गों के लिए। 7 अगस्त को प्रसारित होने वाले हमारे कार्यक्रम का विषय है वरिष्ठ जन के लिए बैंकिंग सुविधाएं। आप अपने सवाल हमें 4 अगस्त तक भेज सकते हैं। हमारा व्हाट्सएप नंबर है 9289094044। आप अपने सवाल हमें इस पते पर ईमेल भी कर सकते हैं, एक कदम और airnews@gmail.com।
बर्फ से ढके पहाड़,
हवा के साथ झूमते चीड़ चिनार,
झीलों पर तैरते शिकारे,
हरी भरी घाटियों के दिलकश नजारे।
आकाशवाणी समाचार आपके लिए लेकर आया है जम्मू कश्मीर विशेष श्रृंखला एक नई सुबह।
हम बात करते हैं विकास की, निवेश की,
पर्यटन की, संस्कृति की
और रोज हो रहे बदलावों की। FM गोल्ड पर सुनिए हर शुक्रवार रात 9:15 पर आकाशवाणी समाचार की विशेष प्रस्तुति
जम्मू कश्मीर एक नई सुबह।
Welcome back to the Midday News. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar today met United States Secretary of State Antony Blinken at Phnom Penh in Cambodia. In a tweet, Dr. Jaishankar said on the sidelines of the ASEAN ministerial meeting, he discussed the ever-strengthening India-US relationship and the global situation with Mr. Blinken. Dr. Jaishankar also met Foreign Affairs Minister of Australia, Penny Wong, and discussed regional and global issues. U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi has arrived in South Korea after concluding her visit to Taiwan. In South Korea, Ms. Pelosi is scheduled to meet with Kim Jin-pyo, Chairman of the National Assembly of the Republic of Korea, this morning. In a short speech during her meeting with Taiwanese President Tsai Ing-wen, Ms. Pelosi said she and other members of the Congress in her delegation have shown they will not abandon their commitment to Taiwan.
Our delegation came to Taiwan to make unequivocally clear we will not abandon our commitment to Taiwan, and we are proud of our enduring friendship. And Taiwan has been an island of resilience in the world. Indeed, the people of Taiwan have proven to the world that with hope, courage, and determination, it is possible to build a peaceful and prosperous future. Today, the world faces a choice between democracy and autocracy. America's determination to preserve democracy here in Taiwan and around the world remains ironclad, and we are grateful to the partnership of the people of Taiwan in this mission.
China has initiated its largest ever military exercise encircling Taiwan this morning after United States House Speaker Nancy Pelosi left the island yesterday. Her visit sparked a furious reaction from Beijing, which vowed punishment and announced military drills in the seas around Taiwan, some of the world's busiest waterways. The exercises, which began around 400 GMT, involved live firing, according to state media. State broadcaster CCTV reported that 6 major areas around the island have been selected for this actual combat exercise, and during this period, relevant ships and aircraft are directed not to enter the relevant waters and airspaces. Ambassador of China to Bangladesh, Li Qiming, has said that China and Bangladesh have always understood and supported each other on issues of core interest concerning respective sovereignty, security and territorial integrity. In a statement issued today, Mr. Qiming said that China believes that the government and people of Bangladesh will continue to abide by the One China principle, understand and support China's legitimate and justified position on Taiwan question, and work together with China to defend regional peace, stability and security. Ambassador Qiming appreciated Bangladesh's long-standing commitment to the One China principle and resolute opposition to Taiwan independence.
The United States Senate yesterday approved Finland and Sweden's accession to NATO. The vote on easily surpassed the two-thirds majority needed to back the ratification of the accession documents, with 95 senators voting in support. U.S. President Joe Biden in a statement said this historic vote sends an important signal of the sustained bipartisan U.S. commitment to NATO. He said it is also ensuring the alliance is prepared to meet the challenges of today and tomorrow. The Nordic countries, which had long maintained neutrality, launched a bid to join the 30-member alliance in the light of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Earlier, France's National Assembly voted in favor of Finland and Sweden's NATO memberships. The French Senate had also approved it 2 weeks ago. We have news just in. Lok Sabha has been adjourned for the day amidst sloganeering by Congress and DMK members. And now let's listen to our special program Azadi Ka Safar, highlighting the importance of the day during the freedom struggle.
आजादी का अमृत महोत्सव।
Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News. Birth of a Nation.
India's glorious freedom struggle is one of the greatest struggles the modern world has ever witnessed. AIR News brings you a glimpse of the struggle every day.
Today, we remember the nationalist leader Firoz Shah Mehta, who was born on August 4, 1845 in Mumbai.
Mehta entered the Lincoln's Inn in 1864 and qualified for the bar. After being called to the bar, he left for home in September 1868. While in England, he used to visit Dadabhai Naroji, and these visits were to remain as an important influence in moulding his liberal outlook. Besides Telang and Badruddin Tayabji, some of his close friends were Ranade, Gokhale, Dinshaw Vacha, Umesh Chandra Banerjee and Bal Mohan Wagle. Education absorbed his interest throughout his life. Firoz Shah Mehta saw in education the means by which India could modernize itself rapidly. He helped in the establishment of a Swadeshi Bank, the Central Bank of India.
Firoz Shah Mehta is remembered mainly as the founder of the modern Bombay Municipal Corporation, which he fostered and served in a distinguished manner for nearly half a century. He was mainly responsible for the founding of an English newspaper, the Bombay Chronicle, which became an important agency for expressing Indian public opinion.
Along with Justice Telang, he founded the Bombay Presidency Association in 1885 and served as its secretary. Firoz Shah Mehta was one of the founding members of the Indian National Congress. He presided over the Congress session held in Kolkata in 1890. In his presidential address, Firoz Shah Mehta said,
"All movements of the kind in which we are concerned pass through several phases as they run their course. The first is one of ridicule, that is followed by one of abuse, which is usually succeeded by partial concession, accompanied by warnings against taking big jumps into the unknown. The final stage of all is substantial adoption of the object of movement with some expression of surprise that it was not adopted before. We have pretty well passed the first two stages. We have survived the ridicule, the abuse, and the misrepresentation."
We remember the martyr Ramakrishna Biswas. He was a member of Master Das Surya Sen's group of revolutionaries. He was instructed by Master Da to assassinate the British Inspector General Craig. Accordingly, Ramakrishna, along with Kali Chakrabarti, went to Chandpur station on 1st December 1930. He shot dead Inspector Tarini Mukherjee, mistaking him as Craig.
Chased by the police, he was overpowered some 22 miles away from that place. Ramakrishna Biswas died on the gallows in the Alipur Central Jail on 2nd of March 1932. AIR News salutes the brave son of the soil.
August is also the death anniversary of Lal Singh. He was born in 1890 in Punjab. After being transported to the Andaman Islands, he established his business there. Lal Singh joined the Indian Independence League, raised funds for it, and donated the amount to Netaji during his visit to the islands. The Japanese forces arrested him in January 1944 on the false charge of spying for the British and put him in the cellular jail. He was released later, but arrested again and was thrown into the sea on 4th August 1945. We salute the brave son of the soil.
August is the death anniversary of Martyr Rangaha. He belonged to the 12th Irregular Cavalry of the English East India Company. He left the company's army and took part in the First War of Independence in 1857. He was arrested for mutiny and plunder in Muzaffarpur. Rangaha was tried and hanged on 4th of August 1857. AIR News salutes the brave martyr.
That brings us to the end of this episode of Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News. See you in the next episode tomorrow.
अब हर घर की छत पर शान से फहरेगा तिरंगा, गुनगुनाए जाएंगे नव विकास के गीत, आन बान शान का प्रतीक राष्ट्रध्वज तिरंगा। आइए आजादी के अमृत महोत्सव के पावन अवसर पर इस स्वाधीनता दिवस हर घर फहराते हैं तिरंगा और लेते हैं भव्य और सशक्त भारत के निर्माण का संकल्प।
आइए हर घर फहराएं तिरंगा।
In Kerala, monsoon is intensifying after a brief respite. The Indian Meteorological Department has sounded a red alert in 8 districts and orange alert in 5 districts today. Water level of rivers in Pathanamthitta, Idukki and Thrissur districts is rising. Authorities have urged the people on the banks of Chalakudi River in Thrissur to move to safer places. In all, 178 relief camps have been opened across the state so far. On Day 7 of the Commonwealth Games 2022 in Birmingham, top Indian stars who will be in action today include Mridul Borgohain, Amit Panghal, Deepika Pallikal, Manika Batra, Hima Das, Manju Bala and Joshna Chinnappa. The first game of the day will be a table tennis match between India and Malaysia featuring Sanil Shetty and Reece Tennyson. It will be a mixed doubles round of 64 match which is slated to begin at 2 p.m. Indian Standard Time. Mixed doubles round of 32 will see Manika Batra and Shrija Akula in separate encounters. Sanita Romit Singh and Manju Bala will be participating in the Group A qualification round of hammer throw. Ace sprinter Hima Das will be in action in women's 200-meter round 1 heat 2 in lawn bowls. Mridul Borgohain is set to continue his campaign against Ross Davis of Jersey. Yesterday, Borgohain first beat Chris Locke of Falkland Islands 21-5 in his second round match. Later, he humbled Scotland's Ian McLean 21-19. Another win will make the road to the quarterfinals smoother for him. In boxing, Amit Panghal will face Lennon Mulligan of Scotland in quarterfinals in the over 48 to 51 kilogram category. In squash, women's doubles duo of Joshna Chinnappa and Deepika Pallikal will be in action. The Indian men's hockey team will face Wales in a Group B encounter. In the medals tally, India is placed at 7th spot with 18 medals comprising 5 gold, 6 silver and 7 bronze.
Congratulations are pouring in for India's medal winners at the Commonwealth Games, including Tulika Mann, Gurdeep Singh, Saurabh Ghoshal and Tejaswin Shankar. Congratulating Tulika Mann for winning a silver medal in judo, President Draupadi Murmu said she has shown remarkable courage and passion to succeed at a young age. Praising Gurdeep Singh for winning a bronze medal in weightlifting, the President said he has made India proud. Ms. Murmu also congratulated Saurabh Ghoshal for his bronze medal, saying he has broken new ground by winning for India its first medal in men's single squash. Congratulating the winners, the Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu said their fantastic performances will inspire many youngsters to take up sports. Prime Minister Narendra Modi congratulated Tejaswin Shankar on winning the country's first high jump medal at the Games. He also commended Gurdeep Singh for his hard work and dedication, adding that Gurdeep has furthered the spirit of joy among citizens. Youth Affairs and Sports Minister Anurag Thakur extended congratulations to Tejaswin Shankar on creating history and winning his first medal at CWG. Commending Gurdeep Singh, the minister said the entire contingent has been brilliant.
Now let us have a look at the weather update for today. National capital Delhi will have generally cloudy sky with moderate rain. Minimum temperature was 27 degrees Celsius. Maximum will be around 34. Mumbai will have generally cloudy sky with moderate rain. Chennai will have thunderstorm with rain. Kolkata will have generally cloudy sky with 1 or 2 spells of rain or thunder showers. And now before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to inaugurate and lay foundation stone of various projects in Gujarat today. Both houses of Parliament witnessed several disruptions following opposition's protest over alleged misuse of central agencies and other issues. Parliamentary panel calls for working out a comprehensive rehabilitation scheme for Indian workers who lost their jobs abroad in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar meets U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken on sidelines of ASEAN Ministerial Conference in Phnom Penh. holds discussion on strengthening India-US relationship. Criminal Procedure Identification Act 2022 comes into effect from today. India and the US to hold mega military exercise in Uttarakhand Zauli in October. US House Speaker Nancy Pelosi reaches South Korea after visit to Taiwan. China initiates its largest ever military exercises encircling Taiwan. United States Senate approves Finland and Sweden's accession to Nato. And in Commonwealth Games, top Indian stars Mridul Bargohain, Amit Panghal, Sharad Kamal, Saurav Ghoshal, Deepika Pallikal, Manika Batra, Hima Das, Joshna Chinnappa to be in action today. And with that we end the midday news.